Hey folks, welcome to What's New, the Peter Larman Outdoors radio show. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to us today. I'm your host, Peter Larman, and what another great day we have here at our office in Ontario, Canada. Bass season will be open up soon here in Eastern Ontario, and I can't wait to get the Nitro Z9 out there and start chasing those bass. First tournament is this Sunday, and I can't wait. FLW Canada Shootout Series event number 1 on Mississippi Lake in Carleton Place will be hopping for sure. On the show today, we have a company that's been around for years, starting back in the mid-60s. In this day and age of technology and the ever-changing fishing industry, companies such as these have sustained success as a testament to the quality of their products, and they continue to make that great product today. And if anyone has ever thrown a lipless crankbait, more than likely you were throwing a Bill Lewis rattle trap. Today on the show, we have Richard Broadwell, the National Sales Manager for Bill Lewis Outdoors. Bill will be talking to us today about the rattle trap along with other products and services they offer. However, before we bring Richard on the show, let's take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back right after this. You're listening to What's New, the Peter Larman Outdoors radio show on WRVO Radio Network 1. Are you looking for quality fishing tackle from knowledgeable staff that use the products and have experience in fishing? And do you want a dependable tackle shop that carries all the latest in some of the fishing industry's best-known companies? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then Pro J Fishing Tackle in Scarborough, Ontario is that tackle shop. Jasper and the staff at Pro J Fishing Tackle will get you ready for walleye, bass, crappie fishing season. Pro J Fishing Tackle carries some of the popular brands like Shimano, Lew's, Daiwa, Megabass, Angler's Choice, Yamamoto, Jackal, Sunline, just to name a few. Make sure you drop in and check out all of their products at their store location at 3467 Shepherd Avenue East, Toronto, or give them a call at 416-913-8305 and check them out on Facebook. So if you're looking for a quality tackle with excellent customer service from knowledgeable staff, Pro J Fishing Tackle is where you need to shop before going out and catching that trophy of a lifetime. Hey folks, welcome back. Today on the show we're talking lipless crankbaits and Bill Lewis Outdoor products with Richard Broadwell, National Sales Manager. Richard, welcome to the show.
Hey Pete, how you doing? I'm glad to be on.
Doing very well, very well. Any better than I'd be out there fishing.
Yeah. I can't wait to get out on the water and wet a few hooks this weekend myself, so I'm looking forward to it. The weather down here in Louisiana is starting to really get good. We're finally getting rid of all this rain and high water, and looking forward to getting out and throwing some of our products.
Speaking of products, give our listeners a brief overview of Bill Lewis Outdoors.
Well, the company was founded by Mr. Bill Lewis back in 1964. And he was making some other product, but in addition to the rattle trap. But once he developed the rattle trap, which, as you mentioned earlier, is a lipless crankbait, it really developed on Toledo Bend, which is a lake, down on the border of Texas and Louisiana. And he would actually build these lures during the week and then drive up onto Toledo Bend and sample them out and try to sell them and so forth. And that's where the bait originally got started, was on Toledo Bend. So once he, started getting enough of the sales and so forth up there, the company just started growing like crazy. And so he really focused most of his efforts in producing the rattle trap. And as you were saying earlier, it is one of the most popular lipless crankbaits out on the market. It's kind of like the Kleenex or Q-tip or something like that. When people see a lipless crankbait, that's what they just say, hey, that's a rattle trap. And it's just some good marketing that we've done over the years to keep that message out there. The product is still made here in the United States. They're made in Louisiana, and then we also there's a factory up in Wisconsin that produces some of them for us as well. Mm-hmm. So we're just really excited about it. We always are coming out with new colors, and we do have some new products and so forth that we can talk about here in a little bit that are different from the lipless crankbait rattle trap.
And as you say, you hit the nail on the head when you said when you talk about lipless crankbaits, everyone goes, it's rattle trap. As I said earlier in the introduction of the show, With technology changing, I mean that there's different paint schemes, different materials. Technology has changed, and fishing hasn't fallen by the wayside. It still continues to do that. How is it that rattle trap or the rattle trap is still the staple in everyone's tackle box after all these years?
Well, I mean, I think, number one, the thing catches fish. That's one of the main reasons why. And I think one of the things that really makes the bait so popular for everybody is all you have to do is take the lure out of the box, tie it on, and cast and retrieve it, and you're going to catch fish with it. I mean, there's really no wrong way to fish the lure. I mean, every time that I go out and fish it, I mean, I'll try a different technique. I mean, sometimes the fish want it where you're just doing a steady cast and retrieve. There are other times you can do a stop and go. Sometimes I'll yo-yo it where I'll let it sink down, and then I'll just kind of vertical jig it up and tight line it as it's falling back down, and the fish will hit it on the fall. It's just one of the most versatile baits out on the market, and what a lot of people don't realize is you can use this bait 365 days a year. I mean, it is a great cold water bait. A lot of people think, well, I don't know if I want to be fishing a lure that's and retrieving something real fast when the water temp, is in the 40s or something. But I mean, this bait has caught so many large fish, bass or whatever, just in that colder water. And it's, we did a study one time, Pete, that it was an independent study. We were studying the sound of our lure and everything, and so we went to a company up in the state of Washington, I believe, and they did a marketing study on it, or scientific study, I should say, and they recorded the lure, and they also had recorded bait fish. Whenever you took the two graphs of these recordings and you overlaid them, you could actually see that the sounds were so close to the lure and the bait fish. And I think that's another reason why the bait has been so successful, because in my opinion, it's the most natural imitation of bait fish of any lure out on the market. And I think when you combine, that sound technology with the shape of the lure and also how versatile the lure is to fish, I mean, it's just the combination is there for success, and that's why we've never really had to change anything on the lure, except coming up with new color patterns and so forth. So I just think it's the perfect lure that was designed. I mean, Field and Stream one time did an article, and they were talking about the top lures of all time, and I mean, I think Rattle Trap was 2 or 3 on the list, maybe behind the Daredevil Spoon or something like that. So I mean, it's just a phenomenal bait. I would recommend all your listeners out there to tie it on and just cast it out and retrieve it, and I just think they're going to have success with it because it's such an easy lure to use.
And it is. I mean, it has to be. And as I said earlier, I mean, as you mentioned, it's been around since 1964. Now, of course, he started developing it and whatever. So even if you say in the mid-'60s, here we are in 2016, you're at 50 years later. And as I said, there's not an angler that I know that does not have a rattle trap. And I'm not talking like another brand. I'm talking to Bill Lewis Outdoors rattle trap in their tackle box. I think you'd be hard pressed to find one.
Well, I mean, I hope that's true. But I mean, we do everything that we can to keep producing the quality of lures that we put out on the market every day. I mean, we take a lot of pride in this lure. We're not going to go get the things made overseas. I mean, we believe in having them made here in the States, and we want to maintain the quality of the lure. And there's really no reason for us to do anything but try to build as many as we can to get out into the hands of the fishermen, because we know it is a great product. But we don't sit here and go, hey, everybody's throwing a rattle trap. I mean, there are millions of fishermen out there, and we know that they have a choice to fish all different types of lures that that are either have been out for a while or especially all the new stuff that comes out. But I mean, we still believe in talking, to the fishermen when we go to tournaments or when we're doing in-store promotions or we work shows or whatever. I mean, we still listen to our customers out there and thrive on building the perfect bait, and we're never going to be satisfied. No matter how many people are fishing the bait. I mean, we want to continue to keep this company going the way it is, and have all the success stories that we hear from the fishermen when they send letters in to us, or we meet them at shows and so forth. They talk about how great the bait is, but for us, that's what keeps us motivated to build more of them and just come up with all the new colors and things like that. So we don't sit back and go, well, we've made it and that's the way it is. I mean, we're still working hard to make it a success for everybody that ties one on.
That speaks volumes, and that's the reason why you guys are still around today. Richard, I mean, for people that don't know what the rattle trap or don't know of the rattle trap, it comes in various sizes.
Correct. Right. The original rattle trap is actually, it's 3 inches long, and that was the first one Mr. Lewis designed, and then from there we've branched out into different sizes. The half-ounce rattle trap is the most popular since it is the original, and then the mini trap, which is a 1/4 ounce, it's 2.5 inches long. That would probably be our number 2 seller. But we do have the sizes range anywhere from our tiny trap, which is 1/8 of an ounce, and it's like 1.75 inches long, and then we go all the way up to our big super trap, which is 4 3/4 inches long and weighs like 1.5 ounces, and they use that for trolling offshore. I mean, they'll use it for big pike and muskie and things like that. There are people. I mean, I've used it bass fishing on some of the big trophy lakes, and so we do have the 6 different sizes of it, and one thing the listeners need to keep in mind is, most people think, well, I'm going to put on a bigger bait and catch a bigger fish, but that's not always the case. It is amazing how many pictures we get in from fishermen all over the world, and they'll catch big fish on our little 1/8 ounce tiny trap, and they'll catch small fish on the 4 3/4 inch super trap. So what I try to tell people is, and that's one reason we have so many different sizes, is you want to try to match the size of the lure to the forage that they're feeding on, or as we say, match the hatch.
Right.
And so that's one of the first things I do. If I go to a lake that I'm not familiar with, I try to, when we're launching the boat, or if I'm up a range, I just try to look in the water and then look at some of the forage, and I try to look at what type of forage is in there, and then just try to match the size of the lure. So, I mean, there are times when I may be starting out throwing a 3/4 ounce rattle trap, and it's something that I wouldn't have thought I would have been throwing on that lake. But if there's larger forage in there, that's what I want to be doing, is trying to match the size of it.
And that's a good point. And I mean, you should do that for regardless of what you're throwing, right? From whether it's a rattle trap, spinner baits, I mean, everything, right? That's the general rule of thumb. And I mean, everyone talks about that catchphrase of matching the hatch. And other than the rattle trap, Richard, I know there's a couple of other products that Bill Lewis Outdoors has. Do you care to get into those as well?
Sure, I'd love to. Last year we introduced a square bill crankbait called the Echo 1.75, and everybody was like, well, why are y'all coming out with a square bill? And we said, well, we want to, it was obviously from the demand of pro staff and fishermen that were asking us, why don't y'all come out with a version that that rattles and sounds like a rattle trap? So it took us a couple of years to come up with a design, and we actually had a lure designer. He was an engineer from from Texas A&M, and his name was Brian Branham, and he came up with a way to, when he designed this lure. Most crankbaits will have like 2 axi built into the lures, where the lure is going to go from side to side, or it'll go up and down. And what Brian did is he figured out a way to put the weight system in this lure to where it actually has a 3rd axi, within it. And this is all engineering terms. This is way over my head. I don't get into all of the specifics of stuff like that. The engineers do that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm more of selling them and obviously fishing the lures. But what that third axi does is it actually confuses the other two axi, which are kind of standard axi in most crankbaits now. So this third axi, when it confuses it, it gives it an action that is just different. I mean, and the lure, if the listeners will go out and purchase the lure, they'll see that it has some flat sides on it, which the way that it wobbles, I mean, it displaces more water, but it also has a thumping effect to it, so it feels like fishing a rattle trap. And then, of course, the sound chambers in it. We have two sound chambers within the lure. If the lure is fished at a very slow retrieve, it has a low knocking pitch to it. And then, obviously, if you speed it up, then the chill shot rattles that are similar to what's in our rattle traps, I mean, they'll kick in, and then you'll get the high pitch. So it actually has two sound chambers built within the lure. And we introduced it after the Bassmasters Classic. Well, we introduced it at the Bassmasters Classic in 2015, and we introduced it in 15 colors. And this year we've come out with, I think we're going to have another 6 colors that we're going to do it. And then something that we're doing this year as well, and this is based on the demand of listening to our customers, is they're wanting a silent version of the Echo. So we're going to be introducing here within the next couple of months a silent version. It's going to be called the Silent Echo 1.75, and it's going to have the same action and vibration as the standard Echo 1.75, but it's going to be silent. So we're excited about that, and we're also coming out it's going to be for 2017. So I would imagine these products will be out probably within the next couple of months, maybe in August or September. We're also going to be introducing 10 new colors of the rattle trap family, and over the last 3 years, we've introduced colors that were part of what we call a supernatural series, and the supernatural series were we take an image or a pattern, and it's not just stamping it on the lure like a lot of companies do. What we've done is we've come back in when we go into Photoshop or whatever, and we set up these color patterns. We come back in and we accent certain colors within that pattern. And just over the last 50 years of manufacturing lures, I mean, we know what color patterns are very productive on for fish to strike and so forth. So we come back in and we accent those colors into those supernatural patterns. And that's why we're calling it a supernatural, because, we're just those accented colors kind of give it a little bit something extra. But this year we've decided that we weren't going to expand any more for right now on the supernatural series. So we're coming out with just some standard colors that we actually paint by hand. The supernaturals are done with laser imaging, and the other ones are hand painted. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to be calling that series the American Hand Painted Series, and we're going to have these 10 colors. I think 3 of them are going to be crawfish patterns, and then the other 7 will be shad type patterns. And we're really excited about some of these new colors. I've already gone out and tested a few of them and caught a few fish on them. So I know they're going to be very successful colors.
That sounds amazing. It's not a lot of things that a lot of companies are doing nowadays. A lot of people rest on their morals and saying, we've made it. And that's something that Bill Lewis Outdoors isn't doing. Other than crankbaits and the square bills, I know. Quickly tell us about this other product that you guys have under the Bill Lewis umbrella.
Yeah, we actually are producing or manufacturing a product called the Rocket Bobber, and it was a company called Tackle 2000 that actually came up with, or invented this bobber. And a few years ago, they came to us and wanted to know if we would want to pull that brand under our Bill Lewis Outdoors name and so forth and start selling it. And so we said, yeah, we would love to. And the nice thing about this bobber is, as most people know, when you buy a bobber, I mean, sometimes they don't even float when you take them out of the pack, and they're real thin plastic, and, if you drop them on the ground or step on them, or even if you cast them, they might hit a limb or a boat dock or something, they shatter.
Mm-hmm.
The rocket bobber is actually made out of ABS plastic, which is the same material that our rattle traps are made out of. And this bobber has a lifetime warranty on it. You can literally take this thing, put it on the ground, and step on it, and you're not going to break it. The top portion and the bottom portion are actually, rather than gluing them like a standard bobber, they're actually sealed together with a technology called sonic weld, and it's the same technology that we use on our rattle traps, and that's why you don't see rattle traps coming apart, because we don't glue them, they're sonic welded. But this bobber, we make it in 3 different sizes. We have a 4-inch, a 5-inch, and a 6-inch, and what's really unique about it, besides the durability that I just was talking about, is the bobber will lay horizontal on the surface, and and it depends on how much weight or if you're putting a lot of split shot or something. I mean, it will float like a conventional bobber, vertical, but normally it's going to stay horizontal on the water, and when the fish actually comes up and hits your bait, the bobber is just going to tip up into the vertical position, and so it's super, super sensitive. The fish don't even feel it when they grab the hook or the bait, and as soon as that bobber starts tipping up, you just go ahead and just set the hook because they've got the bait. Where a standard or conventional bobber, what it does is when they grab it, they're, as soon as they grab the bait, they feel the resistance of that bobber because they're trying to pull on it, and of course when they feel resistance, a lot of times they'll let go of it. And then another neat thing about this bobber is you can literally cast it anywhere from 30 to 40 yards with accuracy. It's just aerodynamically designed, so when you throw it, it's not going to be weaving all over the place. I mean, it goes in a straight line, and when it hits the water, it's still going to hit the water real soft just because of the design of it, the way, it's a long, thin bobber. So it's just, we're really excited about it. And, of course, you can fish it. It has a stainless steel J-hook that's built into the bottom of the bobber. So for people that want to use it as a slip bobber, you can just turn the little spring-loaded J-hook 180 degrees, and then that way your line will slip through it. And if they want to use a, bobber stop or something like that on it, they can. The 5-inch and the 6-inch version, too, and I think this is a really neat feature on the bobber. The 5-inch and the 6-inch has a little slot on the tip of it that's grooved into it, and it's actually a hook remover. And as you know, when you're out catching, different types of panfish and so forth, it's sometimes that hook gets far down into their mouth, and you're sitting there trying to get the hook out. Of course, you can't get your hand in there. You have to use like some needle nose pliers or something. Well, this bobber has that hook remover built onto the tip, so you just grab the bobber and just put it in there and put the hook in that little slot and just push it, and the hook pops right out.
Ties right in with the rest of your product line, and it's taking bobber industry to a different level.
Oh, it definitely is.
Richard, we have to take a quick commercial break here and pay a few bills, but when we return, would you be able to tell our listeners about something that you guys maybe have coming out? And I know you can't give out too much information about it, but tell our listeners about what's coming out at ICAST.
I sure can.
Excellent. Folks, you're listening to What's New, the Peter Larman Outdoors radio show on WRVO Radio Network 1. Livingston Lures. Livingston Lures is committed to bringing fishermen everywhere innovative, technologically advanced lures designed to flat-out catch fish in fresh and salt water. With an exciting new line of crankbaits, lipless crankbaits, topwater baits, jerk baits, and wake baits, featuring a unique sound and vibration technology. Livingston Lures is set to make some real noise across the fishing industry. Welcome back. We're talking with Richard Broadwell, who's from Bill Lewis Outdoors, who's the national sales manager. And before the break, I'd asked Richard to tell us about new items and products that are coming out at ICAST next month.
Well, in addition to the new colors that I mentioned earlier in the rattle trap family, we're coming out with something that's going to be different than what we've done in the past. We're actually going to have a new topwater lure that's going to be coming out, and it's a walking bait. I can't really even say the name of it right now because we don't want to blow the...
No, that's and you know what, that's completely understandable. So thank you for joining us today and telling us all about Bill Lewis Outdoors. Appreciate it.
Oh, look, I appreciate it, Pete, anytime.
This episode was brought to you by Lewis, building innovative products that are faster, lighter, and stronger. George's Marine and Sports, making fun a reality. Livingston Lures, the difference is clear. Pro J Fishing Tackle out of Scarborough, Ontario. Mercury Marine, #1 in the water and nitro boats, driven to be the best. It's our passion. Folks, take a kid fishing. They are the future of our sport, and practice, catch, and release. And remember what I always say, work hard, but fish harder. I'm your host, Peter Larmond, and Lord willing, you will tune in to us next week as we bring you what's new. Thanks for listening.